If your plants are starting to look a little off, don't panic. I'm going to show you how to figure out what's wrong before it becomes a bigger problem. Catching these issues early is the difference between a light harvest and a full jar. Come on, let's get into it, but before we do, today's video is brought to you by Real Growers Recharge. If you want stronger, healthier plants, if you want bigger roots for better fruits, you gotta check out Real Growers Recharge. It's like an instant compost tea that holds more nutrients at your root zone, breaks those nutrients down, and makes them more plant available, getting more of your nutrients into your plants. Find out more about Recharge over at realgrowers.com. And while you're there, use coupon code Scotty420 to get 20% off your first order. Now let's get back to the show. Come on, Hassie, let's get into this one.
All right, man, this is a pain point for a lot of growers.
Sure.
Sometimes when I notice something's wrong, I have no idea what's going on. I have to come over to my buddy Scotty and have him help me out.
You know, this was inspired by cruising the Real Grow Lab. When I was scrolling the Real Grow Lab, I would see some folks showing off their plants, and I'd go, hey, that plant isn't perfect. The color isn't, when I say perfect, it's not the right color green. It's a little too light. Maybe it doesn't have the leaves don't have the posture or attitude, whatever. They're leaning over or whatever. So I want to go over how to diagnose plants, how to find out what's actually going wrong, and if it's nutrients, how to repair it.
Okay, so let's start with the leaves because that's usually where I notice a problem first.
Yeah, so leaves, I'm looking for they call it attitude, meaning how much are they praying? How open are they? Do they look like they're super healthy and just wide open solar panels? Are they curled over? Are they curled under? Are the ridges going up? Is the tip burning? All that stuff is clues.
So let's kind of go into each of these and let me know if I see something, what does that usually indicate?
Sure. So we're first off, the leaf color is huge. Always check. And with the leaf color, it's not, I could explain it to you, but you'd be way better off just going and yelling nutrient chart into your phone and then taking a look. If the leaf tip is burnt and the plants are really dark green, it's probably getting too much nutrient. If the leaf tip is not perfect, it's starting to brown up, and the plant is very yellow and light green, it's probably not getting enough nutrients. So there are clues, there are signs. One of the things I start with, though, is looking around the room. And I go, I've got 8 plants in this little area, or 4 plants in this little area. Is it happening to all of them, or is it just happening to one? If it's happening to all of them, I know it's probably something in the nutrients, or it's probably something that I'm doing. If it's just happening to one, man, I might have it too close to the fan. You know, something really as simple as that. Maybe it's in a hot spot of the grow or someplace where it's not getting circulation.
Okay, so one thing that I have seen pretty frequently is like browning spots on the leaves.
Oh, man. You got your calcium-magnesium ratio messed up, man. The brown spots, little speckles, that's an easy one. That's almost always calcium. And the interesting thing when you're looking at nutrient imbalances, nutrient deficiency, some of the nutrients are mobile. Most of them are mobile. If you have nitrogen and a new growth that needs nitrogen, it'll rob it from the old leaves. Very mobile nutrient. Calcium, immobile. Calcium gets deposited in the cell walls. And so if you're running out of calcium, it's going to make those spots. You're not going to fix them either, by the way. They're going to be there. So, it is actually a cool, thing to keep in your head is, am I having a problem with a mobile nutrient or an immobile nutrient? If I'm having a problem with a mobile nutrient, the old leaves will start looking bad. The old leaves are going to sacrifice the nutrient and give it up to the new growth. If it's an immobile nutrient, then the new growth is going to be hurting and the old growth will stay okay.
So if it's the old leaves that are hurting, that means it's a mobile nutrient problem. If the new leaves look like they're not doing so well, it's probably an immobile nutrient problem.
Exactly. But also, don't forget about nutrient toxicity. If you're just watering and maybe not watering till runoff, just new nutrient in there all the time, it can get built up in there, and they're salts. If you got too much salts built up in there, it'll actually suck the moisture out of your roots. So it'll mess your plants up. So sometimes it's as simple as just measuring the runoff, just pouring plain water on the plant, measuring the runoff. And if you've got way too much nutrient, you use a parts per million pen, a ppm pen for this. If you got way too much nutrients, you'll keep on washing them out. You leach them out. So that works.
Okay, let's talk about another culprit that a lot of growers deal with and might not figure it out until it's too late. And I think you actually just had to deal with this.
Yeah, that's what this smile is, man. It's the I did have to deal with this. I had plants my last harvest. My harvests usually go great. This last harvest, maybe last 2 to 3 months, I've been like, something's not right. That's why I wanted to do this, because I've been looking at my plants and I'm like, something's not right, and I couldn't figure it out. And I would test. I tested my runoff. I made sure the pH at the root zone was good, make sure that I had the right amount of food. Something still wasn't right. And guess what it ended up being?
It ended up being
Bugs attacking the root zone. So the roots couldn't uptake this nutrient. I had root aphids. That's the worst you can get, root aphids, okay?
well, for me, how do I even know? Because I'm looking at the top of the plants first, mites and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on under the soil.
It took me so long to figure this out. Root aphids are probably the toughest one. I literally had to open the soil. Things like russet mites can hurt you, even just spider mites. And a lot of this, what I want to say is don't ignore the signs. Whether it's the first time that your plants, the leaves get a little discolored, start scratching your head. That's not magic. So the first time that, if you've looked and you can't figure anything else, it might be time to dig in the roots. Take one plant and dig in the roots. When I did that, I found aphids.
Okay, so root aphids, obviously that's the issue, but there's other pests that we want to keep off of our
Sure.
plants. Actually, let's talk about that. Why is it that they're bad for your plants?
Well, something like spider mites is going to suck when it sucks the sap out of the leaf. That is the green part that photosynthesizes. It is sucking the photosynthesis factory out of those leaves. And not only that, they're not sterile. So they're going to bring in whatever pathogens they have. A lot of times it's these weird viruses that you'll get. So if you have a bug infestation, or maybe not even an infestation, just a little bit of bugs coming on in, that's enough to get a virus or implant a virus into your plants. And man, they just are never the same after that. A lot of growers out there probably had a clone for years and years, or a mother plant for years and years. After a few years, you're like, it's just not the same. I don't know what's going on. A lot of times that's a virus. And those viruses can definitely and will definitely get passed on from one generation to the other to the other.
Oh, that's why if you're cloning from a clone from a clone,
Sure.
it's maybe not a copy from a copy problem. It's a copy with a slight degradation, then another copy with another degradation, and that's why you kind of get away from the original plant.
Exactly. And the virus will really screw that up.
Okay, so if I've got a suspicion that I've got some bugs, you already mentioned I might have to just pull my plant up by the roots and
Right.
look inside the soil. What are some other ways to find out if I do have the bugs?
Scouting. You have to be really proactive. If you wait till you see a bug on your foliage, or bugs on your foliage, or bugs crawling out of your roots, you got problems, man. So they say IPM, integrated pest management. It's how you look for bugs. Almost said how you treat bugs, but no, it's how you look for bugs. The first part of IPM is scouting, and that means I actually found these root aphids because I saw a couple fungus gnats. And so I took my little microscope, my little loop. I start looking in there, and I'm like, hey, something's funny in here. And that was the clue to look for the root aphids. When it comes to like hemp russet mites are tiny. Spider mites, they start with just a couple of them. So I use those sticky traps. They're very inexpensive. You can get them to the little cards. There's yellow ones for like spider mites and stuff. The blue ones are good for thrips. I'll just stick a couple of those cards in the soil at the soil level. And they're indicators. Once a week, I can go in there and take a look and scout basically. And in some of the cards, they've got grids on there, so you can be like, oh, I got four on this grid. 4 dead bugs on this grid in a week. I'm winning the war. Oh, I've got 10 of them this week. It's getting worse. So yeah, those are really cool.
All right, so in general, it feels like my most common problems are going to either be caused from nutrient issues, either feeding too much, not in balance, not
Yep.
feeding enough.
Yep.
Bugs, probably the other main culprit here, and maybe a combination of the two.
Yes, but what's the third one? Come on, I'm a broken record. Environment. It could absolutely be your environment, and I'll even put in watering in that environment. But if you're overwatering, if you've rotted your roots, the plants aren't going to grow. They're going to have nutrient deficiencies because the roots can't uptake that. If it's in a freezing cold corner of the room, or you're trying to grow in a basement, it gets down to the 50s every night, the plants aren't going to uptake the nutrients as well. It's not always a nutrient problem. So just take a look at some of the environmental factors, I'll say. Hey man, before we get out of here, I got one last good one for you, and this really helped me, is track your success with a calendar. I got one of those 4-month dry erase calendars, and anytime I do something, anytime I see a plant, I have my plants all numbered, and if I see something, I go, hey, number 4 over there, the leaves aren't praying so much. And then you know what I do instead of documenting the hell out of it? I go see video, and I just take my phone out, I make a video, and I go, hey, this plant doesn't look as good as this plant right here. It is so easy. So there's my hack for keeping track of what's going on in your grow. Really easy way. Hey, but that is how I keep my grow in check. But come on, what about you? What's your best trick for diagnosing your plants early? Come on, let me know in the comments. If you dug this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Come on, share this video with another grower you know. And check out the other couple videos YouTube's recommending. We think you'll dig them.